president starting to think about maybe some of those veterans who worked for the federal government and maybe what the administration can do to at least help salvage their lives?
Well, as you know, we care about veterans tremendously. I mean, that's something the president has always cared about. Anybody in blue, anybody that serves this country. But at the same time, we have taxpayer dollars. We have a fiscal responsibility to use taxpayer dollars to pay people that actually work. That doesn't mean that we forget our veterans by any means. We are going to care for them in the right way, but perhaps they're not fit to have a job at this moment.
Just confused at how they could treat people who put their life on the line for the country, who put themselves in harm's way, can be treated like this.
Now, I'm old enough to remember when MAGA demonized an NFL player as disrespecting the military for kneeling to shed light on police brutality. You know, that thing that has nothing to do with the military. Only to then come out and say loud and proud that there's no place for veterans in the workforce.
You should be ashamed of yourself. A man that evaded military service, a man who told the country over and over again, you said it to your people, I love veterans. I care for veterans. And what you've done in the last 2 months is turn your back on every veteran, and that's a shame. I was in the military, and we have a code of ethics. You never leave anybody behind. And in this case right here, you are leaving veterans behind, federal employees behind, and you're doing it mercilessly. And so for me, it's Trump, I don't fear you. And as a matter of fact, call me to office, call me to testify. I'll testify in front of you, because as a veteran, I'll stand up to you, Elon Musk, who I think is a disgrace. But if you truly care for veterans, I really hope you change your mind. And if not, call this veteran to your office. I'll talk to you.
I mean, if you haven't been paying attention recently, it appears that the Trump derangement syndrome that MAGA claims everyone has who dare speak out against their fearless cult leader is spreading to parts of the electorate that Trump claims he speaks to. First, it was farmers.
Hey everybody, Governor Walz here. I'm out at Mary and Danny Lundell's farm. They've been on this land for 159 years. 6 generations are buried right over the hill. We're out here today to talk about the just insanity of these tariffs. Trade deal that we negotiated with our friends in Canada and Mexico that Donald Trump himself signed and is now putting on this chaos into here. The impact across Minnesota and farms just like the Lundells here be dramatic and for nothing. So what I would just say is that we need to be good friends with our neighbors. Our farmers out here in Minnesota feed, fuel, and clothe the world. We innovate. We created the Green Revolution. We don't need Donald Trump and his nonsense interfering with our ability to make sure that these communities stay strong. So take these tariffs off, Donald Trump, and know that the folks out here are not standing with you on it.
Then the auto industry.
And the auto industry expects to feel the impact of President Trump's tariffs. Fox Business's Jeff Flock is in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania this morning with a first-hand look. Jeff.
Could be ground zero for the impact on the tariffs, Maria. This Dodge Ram truck, $80,000, instantly became $100,000.
And now, veterans.
Yeah, I just feel like I've just been swept up in a dustpan and thrown out.
James Diaz started his job at the IRS office in Galesburg last April. First as a tax advisory specialist, then a few months later as a fuel compliance officer, a move he took as a promotion with a pay raise.
This right here is my termination letter.
A week ago today, Diaz was fired, receiving a letter from the Federal Office of Personnel Management.
Here's where it comes. Taking into account your performance and in light of mission needs, the agency finds that your continued employment at this agency is not in the public interest.
Diaz is a combat veteran. He served in the Army during the first Gulf War. After working as a truck driver and in manufacturing factories, he got his college degree in 2020.
I am upset, mad, and just confused at how they could treat people who put their life on the line for the country, who put themselves in harm's way, can be treated like this.
He says his OMP letter implies he was underperforming, something he calls a lie.
This was my first boss's narrative on my performance.
Diaz showed us his performance reviews.
You consistently take steps to identify and avoid work delays. You attempt to use your time in an efficient manner, whether waiting on customers, researching, or other duties assigned. You keep yourself constantly busy with productive work. Absolutely directly contradicts what I've got in that OPM letter.
He took pride working for the federal government. Now, as he's left to find a new job, all he feels is frustration.
I voted for Trump, but I still support, a lot of his policies. But I don't necessarily support the method that he's implementing them. Like, to me, there's no thought behind it. It's just chop and roll, and then we'll fix it at the other end. A lot of us didn't deserve this.
And here you find Trump's, wait, what does she do again? Legal consultant, maybe? I mean, someone should ask her the 5 things that she did today. Well, anyway, she spoke to the press outside the White House and in a shocking moment said this.
Is the president starting to think about maybe some of those veterans who worked for the federal government and maybe what the administration can do to at least help salvage their lives?
Well, as you know, we care about veterans tremendously. I mean, that's something the president has always cared about. Anybody in blue, anybody that serves this country. But at the same time, we have taxpayer dollars. We have a fiscal responsibility to use taxpayer dollars to pay people that actually work. That doesn't mean that we forget our veterans by any means. We are going to care for them in the right way, but perhaps they're not fit to have a job at this moment or not willing to come to work.
And this sparked a lively back and forth in which she all but said thanks but no thanks to the men and women who risked their lives defending this country, trying to re-enter the workforce. Alina Habba, who came under fire in January for applauding alleged sex trafficker Andrew Tate.
Hey.
Hello, Alina.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. I'm a big fan.
Well, nice to meet you. I'm a fan. You're the one saving Trump. You're doing more important work than me.
America, not just Trump. And I agree with everything you just said. And I think that your anger is the same that President Trump has for our country. And the time is now for us to stop being wimps. I think that's exactly the right sentiment. And I also have to say that I sympathize with you because I think you go through a lot of the same, show me the person, I'll find the crime that President Trump has gone through. And it's ironic that Benny has you on today because, as you know, President Trump just got sentenced in what literally will be one of the most tragic stories in American history and democracy and the justice system that I used to be proud of being a part of. But I agree with everything you say. And I have your back out here in the States. And when I saw that you were going to be on, I said to Benny, I have to meet Andrew Tate. There is literally only one person with the same amount of anger and fire, and that's probably me and President Trump. But it's because you love what's right. And you're being under siege, and I see it. And just keep fighting. I mean, I'm here for it. You know, there is no time anymore for weakness. We are being destroyed, and we need strong, powerful voices like yours. And yeah, I got your back over here.
Well, I tell you, if I ever get stateside, and I think I will sooner or later, if I ever need a lawyer, I'll be calling her.
Says that she doesn't feel sorry for Doge-fired military veterans. This comes as Doge sent thousands of Americans to the streets after billionaire-elect Elon Musk swore to slash the federal workforce.
I ask you, what kind of man asks for absolute fealty and bootlicking from the people around him? What kind of man asks people to lie for him? What kind of man is so petty he can't admit obvious mistakes and lies? What kind of man mocks veterans, then callously fires them from jobs? What kind of man appeases and flatters our enemies? What kind of man puts his own needs above country? And what kind of men and women make excuses for him and lie for him and cover for him? These are the questions that are haunting me today. We need so much better than this in this moment. This is about the safety and security of our nation and our allies around the world. This is about our collective protection of our ideals. Americans of conscience, we must stand together and confront any man so wholly unsuited for what we ask of him.
But even with countless families facing lower incomes in an economy that is trending in the same direction as Trump's casino,
50% of the spending, that has masked a lot of pain out there. And now a lot of those economic numbers, look at the GDP now. Thursday, it was, we were looking at first quarter, 2.3%. Friday, it was a negative 1.5%. Yesterday, it was negative 2.8%. That's not all trade. That, we're seeing dramatic, just free falls. Now, some of this is early in the first quarter, but this is scary stuff. So there's a lot more going on, a lot more substantial things going on besides tariffs, because listen, this is soft data. They haven't hit yet.
True.
Right? So the economic data that's moving the markets are in place and moving in the wrong direction.
Habba told reporters that she just doesn't have any sympathy. And that includes towards military veterans who Habba promised that the president, quote, has always cared about but they still didn't get her pity here. And don't take my word for it, look at the response from veterans across the country who slammed Habba's comments and the Trump administration as a whole, including Army veteran Jesus Tony Ruiz, who told NBC, quote, "I lost my job in the VA thanks to Donald Trump and said, I served my country and now they fired me." And he's not the only one who took to social media to voice their disdain.
From my experience, number one, it was important for me to have a mission when I returned from the war. Not speaking for you, but I have PTSD. I live with PTSD, and having this purpose matters. My brothers from Lima 325, a lot of them also ended up in government service because they needed that mission objective. And now some of them have gotten terminated. Some of them have lost their jobs. Some of them are afraid of losing their jobs. And I think the thing that impacts me the most is it feels like such an insult. It's such an insult to them because they didn't do anything wrong. They just wanted to serve their country. They didn't go to the private sector. They wanted to continue to serve their country. And there was just no respect shown to them. They didn't say hey, we're going to terminate your job in a year. They didn't say hey, we're going to terminate your job. Here's a severance package. Oh, here's your insurance for this year. They just said, you're out. Screw your service to your country. We don't care what this impact this has on you. When and I know, when given the situation, these guys would lay their lives down for this country, and they can't even give them the benefit of a dignified separation. No, just get the hell out. We don't need you. And that's what's the BS about this. And that's what BS that Elon Musk is doing on this. And Trump.
Here's what happened today when Republican Greg Murphy, who sits in the Veterans Affairs Committee in the House, was asked by Brianna Keilar on CNN if, do veterans have to worry about losing their benefits? His answer is, well, you'll see.
I guess the question is, will that pain be borne by veterans? Can you guarantee that veterans' benefits and care will not be affected by these cuts?
No, I can't guarantee anything. But the whole purpose, again, of restructuring is to make sure that that agency is efficient. And, look, I care for our veterans. 1 out of 10 constituents of mine are veterans.
And here's the thing, right? If I'm a Democrat, I'm just running this on repeat from now until the midterms, until whatever election comes up. This is what MAGA really think about the military, about working Americans.
Perhaps they're not fit to have a job.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.